Hi, this is Jim Sevier with Convergence Readiness, and in this video we're going to be talking about shortest path bridging opportunities under the category of security, and giving us the opportunity now to look at opportunities and potential opportunities that we can go into our funnel and start driving more net revenue. So let's talk about shortest path bridging and security. Now, if you recall from the first video, the introduction video on this session, on this series, I talked a lot about support for closed networks and creating what is in effect a stealth network. And this is really around a lot of the compliance, regulatory and compliance industry. So we're going to talk about those opportunities that you can bring to the table and actually talk to them about creating a closed network that doesn't require them to actually physically duplicate equipment in their environment. So let's go in and let's start talking about that. So from a security perspective, what we're really referring to here, as I mentioned before, are stealth networks. And stealth networks, the value of a stealth network is really where you've created this closed environment. Even though you've got two switches and multiple connections between them, in traditional routing, legacy routing, networking protocols, you would create a VLAN. It would be like VLAN 1 and VLAN 2. And you would basically have one part of your traffic running here and another part of your traffic running there. If you were in a PCI compliant environment, you would put all your PCI, all your retail data regarding credit card payments and stuff like that, you'd put that on a separate VLAN and segmenting that traffic from any other traffic that's going on in the network. Well, one of the elements that has come along from a security standpoint is the effect of being able to do what's called VLAN hopping and actually hack into and getting into the network and then just moving from one VLAN to the next. And that again, just the sophistication of the times that we live in, but the ability to actually move between VLANs in a traditional legacy routing network is a very difficult thing to try to minimize. And so to solve that problem, basically, companies are just putting in a PCI network, right? And this is just your PCI switch, doing all that data, and then this is the traffic for voice and other various data and internet and that type of stuff. So that's really what companies are doing. They're just creating a separate closed loop network to run their secure data, their compliant data. Excuse me. So one of the elements associated with shortest path bridging is because you are running in a fabric meshed network environment, what you've done is you've isolated the traffic. You can then isolate the traffic by user and type. So the nice thing about a fabric connected network is that there is no way for you to kind of hack in and then determine where all the traffic is running, because again, it's a mesh network. It could be running in any different environment at any given time, and it's not statically connected through the network, right? So in a virtual LAN environment, you have to, in a traditional legacy routing network, if you wanted this virtual LAN, VLAN 1, to come in, you'd have to program it throughout the network onto each one of the ports. So you basically are connecting all of these elements virtually through this switch to keep the information safe or separated. Well, within a shortest path bridging environment, since all of these switches know about all the other switches and they're meshed, basically all you're going to be doing is provisioning the endpoints. So at this point, where the traffic goes it's not accessible from the outside. You don't have the capability of being able to route and map ports because none of these ports have been routed or mapped. All we've done is said, hey, this is where the service comes in, right? And we'll just call it an ISID instead of a VLAN. That comes in and boom, we move that and we want it to come out at this point. And how it gets there is up to the switch and up to the virtual fabric. So it's a pretty interesting technology in that you immediately create these separate closed networks within a virtual networking environment. And that provides you the ability to support PCI and HIPAA and a number of other regulatory compliances industries with a secure network, a closed secure network, eliminating VLAN hopping and even supporting multi-tenancy. So I can actually have multiple tenants in this environment as well. So I could have multiple organizations, multiple companies. It really is a pretty interesting solution when you look at it from a security perspective. And that is amongst itself is reason enough to use shortest path bridging from a security perspective to go into the PCI or go into retail industry or healthcare industry and start talking to them about creating closed loop networks or closed networks that run in the same environment as everything else. And it'll be a pretty interesting dialogue to have, and there's a couple of videos out on Avaya's website that talk specifically about PCI compliance and how to go about doing this. And I would suggest going through those on their Avaya.com website underneath their Fabric Connect product categories. And look under those white papers and you'll find a video in there and a white paper on PCI compliance. And I suggest going through that because this is a significant element to go into a couple of industries with something that traditional legacy routing protocols have a very difficult time solving. Again, this is Jim Sevier. This has been Shortest Path Bridging Security, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Thank you.